Good morning, everybody. A very warm welcome to you all for this third lecture in the M.S. Swaminathan Centenary series. We have, for the third lecture, a very distinguished guest, Dr. Himanshu Pathak, who is the Secretary, Department of Agricultural Research and Education, Government of India, and he also serves as the Director General, Indian Council of Agricultural Research at New Delhi. He has provided leadership to one of the largest agricultural research and developmental organizations in the world, the ICAR, and he's earlier served as the director of ICAR National Rice Research Institute, Orissa, and he has also been the director of ICAR National Institute of Abiotic Stress Management at Maharashtra. His primary experience has been in the area of soil science, but he's also moved on, and he has extensive experience in the areas of climate change and abiotic stress management. So without any more delay, I would like to invite Dr. Himanshu Pathak to deliver this lecture. His lecture is titled Indian Agriculture, Shortage to Surplus. A very short title, but I think he's got a lot to say with his experience with ICAR system. Yeah, thank you very much, sir. I invite you to take over and make a presentation. Dr. Soumya will be joining us shortly. She's online. She's been held up in traffic, but I think she will be here in a short while. So very warm welcome to you, and please, you can start.
So first of all, thank you all very much for giving me this excellent opportunity of sharing some of my thoughts on Indian agriculture shortage to surplus. And before I start that, let me pay my respectful homage to Professor Swaminathan, who is not only a mentor, not only father of Green Revolution in India, but also in many ways whatever we are doing today is basically what Professor started few decades ago. And whenever we work in this office of Krishi Bhavan in New Delhi, he has got his imprints in almost everywhere. So from Indian Council of Agriculture Research, from Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, I pay my respectful homage for this great man who has contributed so immensely, so immensely for Indian agriculture. So as I said, I will be talking briefly about Indian agriculture shortage to surplus. Friends, you know that Indian agriculture has got a lot of resources, but also quite a large number of responsibilities. We have got only 2.3% of global land area, but with this we support 18% of world population. We have got only 4% of global fresh water, but then we also support, besides 18% of world population, 15% of global livestock population. From rainfall point of view, we are a little bit better. We receive around 117% global average rainfall. So we receive little more than what the rest of the world is getting. Indian agriculture, as you also know, is quite diverse. Several ecosystems are there. We have got 140 million hectare of net cultivated land. Only 40% is irrigated. And though we receive a good amount of rainfall, but then the rainfall is so variable. We have got areas which receives only 50 or less than 50 millimeter of rainfall, and again we have got areas which receive more than 3,500 millimeter of rainfall. We have got 15 agroclimatic zones, and then of course several subzones. More than 300 crops we cultivate. More than 300 crops. Employ around 50, to be precise, 46.5% of the workforce, and currently we are contributing 18% of gross domestic product. So this is what Indian agriculture diversity and what various ecosystems in Indian agriculture. If we see the food history of India, then you might not find it to be very accomplishing, very satisfying one. Even if we do not go back to the long of histories, even during 18th, 19th and early 20th centuries, we had several famines. starting from Bengal famine of 69-70, Chalisa, and several others. Then last one is again Great Bengal famine of 1943, where more than 2 to 3 million people lost their lives. And in all of these famines, putting together, more than 30 million people lost their lives. We lived ship to mouth, we used to call as begging bowl, and several others. And these are all the things which Professor Swaminathan addressed, witnessed, challenged, and then became successful in eradicating. There were several doomsday scenarios were also predicted, scenarios of mass starvation, and those of my young colleagues who are attending this particular talk, I would certainly request you to please read some of these books. One is Road to Survival by William Govt, Our Plundered Planet by Fairfield Osborne, The Population Bomb, Silent Spring, Limits to Growth, and several others. And this is the one which is very common, very much known, Famine of 1975, America's Decision, William and Paul Paddock, Who Will Survive? The book was written or published in 1967, and then they predicted a very, very critical, very, very difficult scenarios for many countries, including India. They identified 3 groups of beneficiaries who should get the support or benefit from US, and they categorized all these countries into 3. One is can't be saved. Whatever you do, you cannot save these nations. Second one, walking wounded, very difficult to keep them surviving, but you can still make it. And third one, should receive food. Those are still doing good, they have got potential to come out with their own solution, making them self-sufficient in food production, feeding themselves. So they should receive the food aid from US. And friends, all of you will be really, really surprised and astonished today in 2024. You know, this book was, as I said, published in 1967, that India was put in the category of can't be saved. Can't be saved. And some of our neighbors, including Pakistan, was put in should receive food. But it was much, much better. So India, which was put into can't be saved category of nations, today we have got not only sufficient food, but we have got surplus food. In various agri-revolutions, whether it is green, white, blue, yellow, golden, silver, brown, grey, and many others, by which not only this begging bowl nation, not only this ship-to-mouth nation has become self-sufficient, but has and is exporting and also donating food to many countries, many, many countries. So it is not that we cannot be saved, but we are saving others. And that is what we have achieved in last few decades. Whether it is food grain production, whether it is production of pulses, oilseed, cotton, sugarcane, horticulture, milk, fish, egg, meat, there has been an increase from 3 to 154 times in the production of all these commodities. This is enormous, enormous success. And we are producing it from the almost same cultivated land. Net sown area has remained almost constant. Food grain production has increased by 6.6 times, around 7 times since 1950. Even in 1970, the productivity was only 0.7 tons per hectare, which has increased to 2.4 tons per hectare in last year. So this is increase in productivity. It is not only in the crop sector, but in other sectors, for example, dairy sector. Again, there has been increase in production by 13 times. So we had only 17 million tons in 1951, and in 2023 we produced 231 million tons of milk. And again, this increase has not been increased due to more number of animals, rather increase in productivity of the animal. Again, so science and technology has played a very crucial role in increasing the productivity of not only crops, but also dairy products. And similar is the case for fisheries, which is a sunrise sector. And here the growth story is even phenomenal. We have got 23-fold increase compared to what we had in 1950. And this sector is growing at a rate of 8 to 10% annual growth rate for last 10 years. So again, a very dramatic increase in productivity as well as production. Horticulture sector is another very story to tell, very impressive one. We had only 25 million tons in 1950-51. That has increased to 355 million tons, 14-fold increase. And if you see, since 2000, the increase is quite steep. You can see that. So enormous increase in that sector. Oilseed, of course, we are still importing, but there is some good sign that the productivity is increasing, but our consumption has also increased. And that is the reason that we are importing a good amount of oilseed from others. But the production and productivity have certainly increased. Pulses, again, we are importing, but if you see, since last 15-20 years, the increase in production is quite phenomenal. From 11 is more than 24 million tons or so. And of course, spices, Indian spices are known all over the world. The country is known for its spices, and there is phenomenal increase in the production as well as productivity, and also export of spices to many other nations. Millet, we have celebrated 2023 as International Year of Millets. Very good development in terms of varietal development, increase in productivity, production of several value-added products from millet, exporting, and the demand from other countries are becoming more and more, so that we will be able to produce and supply more and more amount of millet and millet-based products. So these are all happening. Without mechanization, you cannot think of today's agriculture. And India is the leader in tractor production as well as also use of tractor. And you can see this graph, how the number of tractors which we are producing has gone or has increased in so big way. Not only that, we have increased the production and productivity, whether it is of crop, animal or fisheries or horticulture or even spices, oilseeds and pulses, but few other things have also happened. What I am trying to show in this particular diagram is that Indian agriculture has also in a way becoming a little bit more resilient to changing climate. Though we all know that climate change is a very big issue. This is the issue which can derail all our developments. But if you see that even 15-20 years back, even slight abnormality of rainfall or monsoon could decrease total production of food grain in the country in a big way. But if you see the later years, say last 5-10 years, though there were climatic aberrations, though there was abnormality in the rainfall, monsoon, but the total food grain production didn't decrease. Rather, it continued to increase. So the fluctuations of crop production has decreased, and there is some kind of stability which shows that probably Indian agriculture with all kinds of technologies, new science, policies and support system which are available in the country have helped in having a stable production in spite of having abnormality in monsoon. Agriculture education is one of the very important areas, all of us know. There are some very good developments happening in this particular area. Our on-time graduation rate has increased. Now it is going to be around 100%. Faculty research in terms of H index has increased substantially. Placement rate of our students has also gone up. Sponsored from industries are also quite good. And of course, girl students Now they are constituting 50% of our total students, sometimes even more than 50%. So it is now, to be precise, 51 in the latest data source, 51% of our students in UG and PG and PhD are girls. So this is another very impressive and very positive developments which is happening in the field of agricultural education. In the research areas, if you see number of publications, it is increasing, and I am showing the numbers published by the scientists of ICAR, Indian Council of Agricultural Research. So India now has surpassed UK, Germany, Japan, Canada, France, Australia and Spain. And 4 years back also India was behind all of this. So now we are fourth largest publisher research papers in agriculture and biological sciences. And this is happening since last 2021. So in last 3-4 years, we are occupying this fourth position. So with all of this, as I started my talk, a country which was depending on import of food grains, import of agricultural commodities, but since 91, now this country is a net exporter of agri commodities. And last year, we had agri export to the tune of 53 billion US dollar, 53 billion US dollars. This is just one for rice. Now, this country is the largest exporter of rice. Second one is Thailand, having almost half of what rice which India exports. And there could be several kinds of figures for other commodities as well. So the country is now leading the harvest and in a way nourishing the world. Good number of countries are depending on the production and export of commodities from our countries. At one point of time, the whole world was worried about food security of this country. But now, India worries about the food security of other countries. Any decision on restriction of export of food from this country gives a very shocking signal to the rest of the world that what is going to be the price of the commodities or what is going to be the availability of food in other countries. So that position now India has occupied. We are now the largest producer of milk, pulses, tea, spices, jute, banana and many other commodities. Second largest producer of wheat, rice, fruit, vegetables, sugarcane, and as I said, also exporting a substantial amount of various commodities in last year. So we had a country which was food scarce. Slowly we shifted to food shortage, food sufficient, food secured, and then of course a nation of food surplus. From ship to mouth, from begging bowl, we could enact, which is a National Food Security Act 2013, and more than 80 crores of our population are getting highly subsidized food. When I say highly subsidized, it is really highly, only 2 or 3 rupees kilo rice, 1 or 2 rupees kilo wheat, 1 rupee kilo millet, and so on. And all of you know what is the cost of production of these commodities. So it is very, very small amount. So it is almost free, which we are distributing to a very large section of the societies. All of these developments we have tried to capture in one of our books, Indian Agriculture After Independence. This is a share publication. I shall request my younger colleagues to go through this to get a detailed analysis as well as narration of all these success stories, which were challenging, which were difficult, but of course very, very heartening to know that we could achieve those. What were the reasons of all this success, all these revolutions? Path-breaking science, progressive farmers, millions of them, political will at that point of time and of course onwards, and of course our partnership with international organizations and also national organizations. So we had not seen any severe famine in the last 80 years. Again, big success. But that doesn't mean, and from here onwards, I will be telling something of the challenges. That doesn't mean that famine should not be coming again. It is impossible. We have totally eradicated from the future of this nation that cannot be claimed. And what Norman Borlaug himself said at one point of time, that Green Revolution has won a temporary success against hunger. But as population is increasing, several challenges are emerging, so we have to continuously go on improving productivity and resilience to make this as well as other countries free from hunger and malnutrition. So will these things, friends, you also know that share of agriculture to GDP is decreasing. That doesn't mean that total value is decreasing. Other sectors are increasing or developing in much better way. That's a good sign. Employment pressure is also decreasing, but even then it is quite substantial. And you know, currently it contributes around 18 to 19%. It varies year to year. Crops constitute the largest share, but most of the other growth factors are coming from livestock and fisheries sector. So this is happening. But then when we compare our scenario with the developments in agriculture of some other countries, I'm not taking the least developed countries, I'm not taking the countries which are performing much poorer than us. There are many countries which are doing much worse than what we are doing, but then they cannot be our model. Our model should be the ones which are doing better, and we should be aspiring to do that. So if you say in terms of production in these four major countries, Brazil, China, India and USA, you will still find, though in total production we are quite good, but then contribution to GDP, agriculture in this country is doing well, but the share of employment in this country is quite large. A large population is still depending on agriculture, and of course, as a result, India's share of employment in agriculture is still maximum, which is not the case in other countries. In other countries, a very small percentage of people depend on agriculture. For example, US, it is only 1.7% and so on. Reducing dependence on agriculture is one of the priorities of this country, and increasing agricultural productivity is also one of the areas on which we should be working. But we have to increase productivity against several of the challenges which this country is facing. Challenges of low productivity and high cost of production, limited diversification, low value addition, another important area which we need to address, degradation of soil, depleting water resources, pollution of air and so on, increasing pest and diseases, and also huge loss of produced food, high volatility of market and monsoon, and also climatic risk, climate change, which we talk all the time. So these are some of the major challenges which Indian agriculture is facing today, and these challenges might be even bigger and bigger in times to come. So in the face of all of these challenges, the productivity and production of Indian agriculture has to increase. And in this backdrop, we are aspiring to become developed India, Viksit Bharat, when this country will be transforming itself into a developed nation in next 23-24 years. And we tried to calculate some of the requirement of agri-food system in 2047 and compare those which are available now. For example, food grain, we are producing 332 million tons now. In 2047, we need it to be 520 million tons. Horticulture, from 355 million tons of today, needs to increase to 950 million tons. So you can go with all of these numbers, whether it is rice yield, wheat yield, meat, egg, fish, milk, use of water, nitrogen, emission of greenhouse gases, export, and all of these, what we are having now and what we need to achieve by 2047. And in all of these parameters, you will find that there are several big targets, big aspirations to fulfill. Population is increasing, will continue increasing for some more time. Natural resources, water, soil, air, is less, getting depleted, degraded. So our agri-food system has to be better and better. better and better in terms of productivity, better and better in terms of quality, and so on. So we need to have better production, better nutrition, better environment, and of course, better life. All these things, Indian agriculture and Indian agri-food systems need to achieve in next 2-3 decades. And to achieve those, we have to understand these 5 crucial factors, which I call 5 M's: market, monsoon, mechanization, management, and manpower. In all these areas, there are certain uncertainties, there are certain targets to be achieved, and we have to address all these crucial factors to realize the goal of 2047. So what we should be doing? What we should be doing so that Indian agriculture will be able to maintain the sustainability of the surplus. To make a sustainable surplus, what we should be doing? So I'll be sparing some more minutes on that. Friends, after independence, since 1947, I tried to divide the whole time into 5 phases. So I say 5 phases of Indian agriculture after independence. We have got free green revolution from 47 to 64, green revolution 65 to 85 for all crops, for all commodities. Then we had reforms and liberalization from 86 to 2005, 2005 to 22, which we call as Atmanirbhar, self-sufficiency, and then 23 onwards till 2047, when we will be transforming this country into a developed one. We call it Amrit Kal. And during this Amrit Kal, the perspective of agriculture in this country should be sustainable, efficient and inclusive growth, climate resilient agriculture, giving more emphasis to digital and secondary agriculture, import substitution, export promotion, and then of course promoting public-private vision partnership. So all of these are going to be the perspective of agriculture in coming decades. So we have to make innovations to make agriculture sustainable in these 3 phases, not only the production phase, but also pre-production phase, enhancing productivity and climate resilience with next generation omics, new breeding technologies, improving farm mechanization. Then of course in production phase, advanced precision farming, nature-friendly agriculture, and then of course post-production phase with quality check and traceability, post-harvest technologies, value addition, food processing, and so on. So in these 3 areas, we have to work to make it sustainable. So therefore, I have identified 10 thrust areas which need little more attention from research and development point of view. So there could be few more, but then I was trying to identify 10 crucial areas where we should give more and more focus for agricultural research and development. Thrust area 1 should be consumer needs and producer profit. Till now, our emphasis has been to increase productivity, producing more and more, enhancing yield and so on. But now we also need to give emphasis on consumers' need. So we need to have a subtle shift to address nutrition, storage quality, taste, preference, prices, and so on. But that doesn't mean that we need not to increase the productivity. We have to. So we have to break the barrier of yield by innovative ways to break the yield barrier with new science tools, technologies, and so on. I shall give 1 or 2 examples of what we are doing now. And also we need to shift focus from only crop, single crop system to the food system by value addition, processing, value chain, cropping and farming systems, and so on. To address the nutrition issue, now we are giving more focus for biofortification. And you'll be very happy to know that we have developed more than 150 varieties of different crops which are biofortified, which are rich in protein, minerals, vitamin, and so on. And a good number of these varieties are already there in the field. For example, around 13 million hectare of wheat area in this country are now cultivated with biofortified wheat varieties. Pearl millet 1.5, mustard, rice, and so on. So this is one area we are giving more and more focus. Another one is, as I said, breaking the yield barriers. Though I said we have made significant progress in increasing productivity, self-sufficiency, surplus, and so on, but if we compare with many other countries, then our average productivity is quite less compared to those countries. Even within the country, some states are having very high production compared to the average one. So it is not that every region of the country will be producing equal amount of yield, though there is climatic variations in soil and so on, but then there is very high scope of increasing productivity in each of these areas. So these are going to be our areas. And as I said, science tools will be very, very useful for that. Tools like genome editing. We are working on a good number of crops using this tool, and some of the products are almost ready to be released. So this is one example of rice variety, which will be able to give around 15 to 20% more yield, around 20 days shorter in duration, using less amount of water, and also resistant to some of the biotic as well as abiotic stresses. This is also an example, and we are working with several other crops like that. Second thrust area should be nature-friendly and climate-resilient farming. We need to increase efficiency and decreasing footprint of water, nutrient, energy, limiting greenhouse gas emissions, and so on. Developing nature-friendly food system is one of the priority areas. This could be by diversification, regenerative agriculture, natural farming, and so on. And then, of course, co-designing farms of the future. Several new tools and technologies are coming. So we are also aiming to develop some of the farms which will be future farms with all kinds of sensors, AI tools, and so on. So when we say resilient agriculture, we actually aspire for achieving these three things. We want to achieve carbon positive, water positive, and of course energy positive. So destroying less and less amount of natural resources, replenishing them more and more, and then going towards climate smart or climate resilience. The third thrust area should be social equality and inclusion. Understanding gender empowerment, developing gender and youth friendly solutions, and of course promoting women and youth led pathways. So this could be our third thrust areas for making Indian agriculture sustainably surplus. But we also need to keep on generating new knowledge by strengthening basic and strategic research, enabling transformation with understanding the interactions of various components of the entire food systems. We also need to work on upstream research, enhancing tolerance to several stresses, whether it is biotic stresses or abiotic stresses, biological nitrogen fixation, for example, and then holistic approach of research, not only analyzing only one component of the farming system, but analyzing farm to fork for sustainable intensification of the entire food system, which I was talking about. Developing tools and technologies, including varieties and so on, could be one thing, but the delivery must be efficient. So we need to strengthen the delivery systems using new tools, developing new supply system, demonstrating all of this in various villages, for example, climate smart villages, co-designing those kinds of farms and so on. And as you all know, Krishi Vigyan Kendras, agriculture or farm knowledge centers are very crucial, and currently we have got 731 KVKs working in various districts of the country. So we have to have new mode of strengthening those KVKs by collaborating with upstream as well as downstream players, so that these KVKs can act as a center of excellence for demonstration and other dissemination. This would act as a district hub for advisory and extension. It should be able to develop or deliver integrated services of agriculture and also receive the feedback and other information from the downstream system of the country. Digital agriculture will be playing a very crucial role. And as you all know, Government of India has got a very big plan for digital agriculture, including land, input, service sectors, and so on. Thrust area 6 could be in the areas of policy and market, formulating policies for food system transformation, establishing agri-business and innovation platforms, and of course developing agri-information systems in various NARs as well as NGOs and partnership with industries. And to achieve all of this, our education system, our capacity building system must be strengthened. So not only our national system, we should also understand the global agriculture and imparting education to cater the needs of not only of this country but also of international communities. So what are the other rules and provisions, the requirements and needs of other nations, including our own, need to be incorporated and internalized in the education system of this country. With that, human resource development, scientists, technical staff and others, by strengthening our science base with innovative training and of course partnership with other agencies nationally as well as internationally. And along with that, the partnership is going to play very crucial roles for developing the impact. And for that, we need to integrate national systems with international ones. South-South cooperation could be one area where India can play a very big role. And networking with several organizations could be another crucial area. And foundation like M.S.Swaminathan Research Foundation can play a very crucial role in developing and fostering all these partnerships for impact. But to do all of these things, we certainly need more and more resources, budget and other resources. So we need to diversify the funding base for research and development in agriculture, exploring funding opportunities for quality and resilience, and of course consolidating the resources and exploring internal opportunities wherever it is possible. So friends, these are the 10 areas which will be very, very crucial, and for developing Indian agriculture research and development sector, we need to give little more emphasis on each of these 10 thrust areas. So before I conclude, let me share few more thoughts. Let me share those with you. So we need to have a strategy of GRM and NRM. We talk them separately. So we need to talk about GRM, genetic resources management, and its interaction with NRM, natural resources management. And we need to club, we need to put them together and do research together. Indian agriculture now should be friendly with these 5 parameters. Indian agriculture should be science and technology friendly. Indian agriculture should be nature friendly. Indian agriculture should be market friendly. It should be gender and youth friendly. And also it should be culture friendly. Culture of this country, culture of various regions of this country, and of course elsewhere. And for that, we need to consolidate research and development collaborations with other agencies, with agri universities, government bodies, private sectors, startups, MSMEs, KBKs, NGOs, farmer societies, financial institutions, and so on. So we really need to consolidate. These are existing, but we really need to strengthen and consolidate so that we will be able to make better impacts from research and development on this country. And always we have to keep watch on these 4. Watch on economic front, food price for example, social front, hunger rate, malnutrition, environmental front, degradation of soil, water and air, and of course political front, failing states. Now all of you can witness this aspect in the whole world. And as all of you also know, that Professor Swaminathan very emphatically talked about this when he said that the future of the nation belongs to those with grains, not guns. This message should be percolating to all spheres of the society across across the border, across everywhere. So friends, let me conclude saying that Indian agriculture so far has achieved greatly thanks to the contributions of great individuals like Professor Swaminathan. But now the challenges are intensifying globally and also nationally. Challenges like climate, conflict, COVID, calamities, and so on. And to address those challenges, we need to transform agri-research by improving productivity, profitability, and also resilience. We need to have farm of the future by integrating modern science with traditional systems. We need to build capacity by equipping our scientists, students, and farmers with new knowledge and new skill. And for that, we need to have better and more efficient research and development system with more and more support, financial support, and of course support from partnership in public, private, peasant, and policy mode. So all these things we really need. With this, I thank you all. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to share some of my thoughts on this very, very important occasion when you are organizing centenary lectures of Professor M.S. Swaminathan, who said, and I repeat it in almost every forum, when he said, if agriculture fails, everything else will fail. And that's what agriculture is, and that's what the need of strengthening research and development in agriculture. Thank you once again, each and every one of you, for giving me this opportunity. And this is not only opportunity for me, but also for the whole council of sharing some of our thoughts. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Namaskar. Jai Hind.
So thank you, Dr. Pathak, for very nicely summarizing what agriculture was and what the vision of agriculture for India should be going forward and why the 4 Ps are so important. So I think we'll open up the forum for any questions now. And maybe we will start with the audience here, and then in the meantime, if there's anybody in the online audience who wants questions, maybe you can type in the chat box, please.
Thank you, sir, for a very enlightening lecture, giving us, taking us through the journey of Indian agriculture. It's been very, very informative and educative. I just had a couple of points and a question. So, you rightly mentioned the need to move from crop production to foods, having a food systems approach and the thrust on processing and value addition. And so what is the plan for that in terms of taking the way forward in that area? You used the term climate smart agriculture. I was wondering if we could also add nutri-smart to it. You will be aware that Professor Swaminathan was an advocate of a farming system for nutrition approach in later years, where you identify the nutrition problems in an area and have the agricultural remedies to address the nutritional maladies, to use his phrase. And from the Swaminathan Research Foundation, we had worked with KVKs in Andhra Pradesh and Maharashtra to promote this kind of an approach, the farming system for nutrition approach. And my third point was on, you also mentioned that in oil seed production, we still have a long way to go. But I would request your thoughts on this thrust on palm oil production, increasing area under palm oil. Whereas given the experience of Malaysia and the plan now to clear up forests in the Nicobar and in the Northeast, given also the fact that we need to have a balanced approach of biodiversity conservation, natural resource management for sustainable production, will not promoting traditional oil seeds and increasing research and productivity of those varieties be a more viable way to go forward? Another last point was, in the National Commission on Farmers report, Professor Swaminathan had advocated the promotion of land use advisory boards, to give advice at the ground level to the farmers. It will be a virtual body with linking down to the block level. So what is the farmer to grow? that kind of advice is missing at the ground level today. He would often say the extensions, the Green Revolution succeeded because of the vibrant extension system, reaching down to the farmer. So how do you see that, farming out in today's world? Thank you.
Thank you very much for raising some of the very pertinent questions. I really appreciate all these 4 points which you have raised, madam. I shall try to respond to this one by one. Of course, we all accept this fact that agri-food system should be really addressed to, not only for one single crop. Now, several initiatives are being taken. From ICAR point of view, now we are reorienting our research areas to address the whole agri-food system, not only for only one area. So whether it is from engineering point or post-harvest processing, value addition, marketing, so that area is going to get more emphasis. From Government of India side also, probably all you know that Agriculture Infrastructure Fund, and there are many support systems which are being provided for value addition, processing, marketing, and so on. We are almost in a final stage of developing a good proposal of transforming agri research and development areas. We are working on this, where agri-food system transformation will be one of the priority areas. I certainly agree to you with NutriSmart, which is very, very critical, and as you know that ICAR is also working in that area. I told you the development of new biofortified varieties. Most of the CG centers are also working in this particular area, and not only developing these varieties, how to take these varieties to the farmers, dissemination, KBKs, so that area is also being strengthened. Yes, oilseed, another area where we still importing, and again I agree with you that our traditional oilseed crops. So we have already developed a national oilseed mission in which our traditional crops, including mustard, rapeseed and others, of course, are going to get priority. A good number of varieties are also being developed. We are also working with some of the other countries where they have got better germplasm, so that we will be able to develop new and very high yielding and resistant varieties of these kinds of crops, along with management of things. Again, Land Use Advisory Board, which was proposed, is certainly very good. But you know that now Minister of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare and also on to other ministries are working, starting from digitization of land records, again to providing subsidies and many other benefits through digital system with all these latest information. So this work is in progress. A very good AI-based digital tool has been developed where each and every plot of the farmer is being scanned, recorded, data is being upgraded, and the advisories which we are now already started giving and going to give in a more intensive way, not a very general kind of advisory or agro advisory which we used to give. Now we are trying to give a real-time based advisories, depending what exactly the condition of the crop or soil, which crop is to be grown, what are the real problems. So we are working in that direction. Some of our trials are already being done in some of the states, and hopefully in next few months we will be able to cover some other areas also. Exactly the idea is this, real time for a real location advisory which will be of direct use of the farmers. Earlier our advisory used to be a general kind of thing which was applicable for a district or for a block, which is not sufficient in today's time. And of course at that point of time we didn't have tools to reach out to each and every farmer. But now with all these developments in telephone, mobile, all this internet connectivity and so on, we are in a position to reach to a single farmer with real-time advisory. So thank you very much, and in all of these areas we are working, but certainly Indian agriculture, as I started my talk, very diverse, very complicated, not so easy to have big impact with so many millions of farmers in a short time. So it takes time, but the efforts are on in this particular direction. Thank you very much.
Thank you. First, thank you, Dr. Pathak, for absolutely a kind of sweeping history of Indian agriculture over the last, well, since independence, but over the last 40, 50 years. Now, I have a question, which is that I think, the thrust areas that you have mentioned, the challenges, what is the resource requirement? Have you worked out, how much should government spend? I know you've managed to get more funds for ICR, but also looking at it in a comparative perspective in terms of the research spending that China does in relation to India. So since you have worked out a 2047 goal, could you elaborate on what is the resource requirement for agricultural research sector and then for agriculture overall, including all schemes and subsidies? Thank you.
Thank you, madam, for asking this very pertinent but difficult question. Yeah, of course, we are doing this exercise, but let me be honest with you. Absolute number we are yet to reach, because we are talking for a quite long term. So, in our EFC kind of thing, we plan only for 5 years. But then Government of India is also making a plan till 2047, and every department has been given this responsibility of what they are going to do, what are the thrust areas with specifics of activities and the resources required. So that exercise is yet to be completed. So probably at some other occasion I will be able to share with some of those details. But nevertheless, there is absolutely no debate, and everybody accept it, that Indian agriculture research and development system needs more support. Our support, whether at the central level or at the state level, is quite small. And one of our recent analysis, probably you have gone through that publication, that investment in research gives very big returns. Investing 1 rupee in research gives 13.8 rupee return. So 1:14 or 1:13.87 to be specific is very high return. And of course, we are arguing this with our funding agencies. We have made some success. Government is appreciative of that. Good support is coming, but we really need more. Another area for which we also need support is some of our organizations have become old. I mean, even if we talk the organizations which were developed and built by Professor Swaminathan, including IARI, Indian Agriculture Research Institute, New Delhi, many of our younger colleagues might be knowing this. Though we have developed several facilities, but it still needs much more. Because the challenges are more, number of students are more, areas are more. So to have everything more, we certainly need more of budget and budget support also. We are trying to make it in several ways, not only reaching out to the government, but also other organizations, including international organizations, including private organizations. So that has been one of our areas that we really want to work very closely with private organizations. So far, we have been working with them only at the commercialization of the technologies. We have developed a variety, and then we give it to them. Then okay, you please market it, and then okay, you share the royalty and so kind of thing. But then what we are doing for last 2 years, that we have started identifying the problem, working together to develop a solution, and then going to market. So from the beginning of identification till marketing and dissemination, we are working with the private organizations. So now they are part and parcel of us. But again, it takes time. Only few are on board now, but I'm sure that many more will be joining. And some of the challenges which are common to all, of course, many of the challenges are common to all, we will be able to work together in such a way that we will be able to develop solutions and then go to the stakeholders and of course farming community. But this will be always a kind of, challenges, and all of us really we need to work hard and hard to generate those resources. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Dr. Pathak, this is Jayaraman from M.S.Swaminathan. Thank you for a very inspiring lecture and the vision that you have sketched. And I'm sure in the years to come, as we know, this will be also exercised to the benefit of the international community. But there's one problem that perhaps that bothers some of us, is that this vision of growth and prosperity, which is the villages of India are nothing like what they were 70 years ago. But in this, not all have benefited equally. So there is still the problem of the small and marginal farmers whose numerical extent is increasing, whose profitability remains very precarious. And so there is this SDG 2 goal of doubling small farmers' income and doubling farmers' productivity. How does that fit into this vision? And how do we ensure that they are not left behind? And this is one of the reasons when the term food systems is used, there is a little bit of concern because it puts together players with very different, very diverse economic power. And so there are questions of who dominates whom, who dictates, who benefits, who loses, etc. So this is a concern. So how does that fit into the vision of the future that you have just sketched? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Jairam. Again, very pertinent and a very real question. Let me tell you, I always share this with all the policymakers and others, that if this country has to transform itself into a developed country, that cannot be done without developing its agriculture. Though it contributes only 18% to GDP, but around 45-50% population is still on agriculture. This is one. And the second point I also emphasize that Indian agriculture cannot be developed. So India cannot be developed without its agriculture, and Indian agriculture cannot be developed without developing our smallholder and marginal farmers. We have to take them together. Now technology is only one part. Say variety, it benefits almost everyone. With this just only seed, and if a farmer gets a hold of those high-yielding, nutrient-rich, climate resilient seeds and so on, so they are going to be benefited. But then there are several other areas for which not only research and development, but then of course the policy, the support system, the market system, and all of these things need to be strengthened. Several initiatives are being taken. I will not be able to name all of these, but I think you are also aware of those. But then that has remained a concern, and continuously we are engaged with several agencies of how to reach these benefits to the small and marginal farmers. It is not that the things are not happening, but it is happening in a slow rate actually. We need that rate should be faster so that small and marginal farmers will be able to get the benefit. There are few policy issues which are broad, say land holding. Now with such a small land holding, sometimes it becomes very difficult to make the product of scale, which we say that, okay, with less than 1 hectare, how much? So consolidation of the land. But then again, as you know, those who work on the ground, this is not a very easy solution, easy proposition. It really needs the support of state, communities, societies, and so on. So there are certain complicated issues on this. But then from research and development point of view, smallholder farmers are one of the priority areas, and whenever we try to develop a technology, they remain in focus. So the policy areas, again, Government of India is working on, but then let's see how quickly we will be able to address. But then I fully aware of that without though addressing their challenges, it will be very difficult to make much progress in a sustainable way. We are on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Pathak, for your insightful lecture, as well as putting forward the points to take the success to the next level. Yes, definitely in that context, you have suggested a two-pronged strategy, that is a paradigm shift, including the genetic resources and natural resources management. As you have right now suggested, these two systems are embedded with small farmers. So in that context, definitely we need to see how social equity and dimension can be brought in as a third dimension into that pillar. So that definitely that will add more value to the, ground level issues. That is one point I wanted to raise. And the second one is about related to that, it is an interdisciplinary research. Because as you said, Indian agriculture system and education system has been developed for a quite long time in different paradigms. So in this context, how the interdisciplinary research can be brought in at the initial stage itself so that the action research can be part of some of the ICR institutions. It has a huge network across different agroecologies, providing site-specific issues. So in that perspective, if interdisciplinary research is part of the institution profile, then definitely it adds more value to the small farmers' issues. And the third point I would like to raise is about the youth and women. In the context of changing agrarian systems at the local level, how do we, as a kind of an agriculture research network, how do we foresee those challenges and build the plan for the 2047? Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you very much. Yes, in that GRM and NRM, I think SRM also should be included, and I shall suddenly put that particular RM also, resources management, social resources management, or in that way into that particular pillar. So third pillar is also extremely, extremely important. Education, is you very rightly said, is something which we need to address. We are on it actually. At the national level, probably you know that national education policy of 2020, some of these aspects which you mentioned, multidisciplinary research, interdisciplinary research, taking small farmers into consideration, those are there, but at ICAR level also, we are continuously engaged in reviving and revising our education program. So we have got a system, madam, that in every 5 years, we formulate which you call as Dean's Committee. So all the deans of this country, more than 100 of those, they develop a new paradigm for next 5 years, where all these areas are included. Our latest report has just been published last month only. Again, some of these areas have been put together. And then, of course, collaboration with various institutes of ICAR, universities, and so on. That is extremely important. I don't know whether you are aware of it. No, I gave a kind of narrative or slogan. We call it One ICAR. Now it is ICAR is one only, but when I say One ICAR along with universities, along with NGOs, along with other educational institutes. So all of us have started working together so that a particular problem will be addressed by not by only one institute, but also several institutes and also universities. So in some of these areas, we are working in that, and I'm sure those will be helping our small and marginal farmers. Thank you very much for giving these excellent suggestions. Thank you, ma'am.
So Dr. Pathak, there are just a few more questions in the chat box. One is from Dr. Arul Alam. He's asking whether, please elaborate on the recent developments in processing of minor millets. And another question is, can you mention that Indian agricultural resilience has enhanced in the last few years? Can you throw some light on it? And then Mr. Suhas Wani, he says you made an excellent presentation, but we need missions like Pulses mission and Oilseed mission. But while they were successful, they have been derailed. So, and water is also becoming critical. So there is a need to have positive incentives such as payments to farmers for efficient management of water for production. So your thoughts on these questions, please.
Thank you very much. Let me take the last one, Dr. Subhash Bani. Sir, thank you very much for joining and giving this important suggestion also. Yes, our oilseed mission, probably you were also a part of that, I'm not so sure, was really successful, which could help in increasing productivity. A second national oilseed mission has also been proposed, and some of the new initiatives, and I can tell about our research and development. Good thrust is being given to develop new technologies, new varieties, which will be certainly developing or yielding much more, around at least 50-60% additional yield. And also all those policy and downstream issues are also being addressed in the new national mission on oilseed. So far as resilience of Indian agriculture is concerned, as I showed one slide, how total food grain production has remained stable or increasing In spite of having several anomalies in the monsoon system, particularly rainfall and so on, or increase in temperature. For example, every year you can observe that the terminal heat during wheat harvesting in the month of March and April, it is increasing. Every year we observe that. Had it been earlier time, then the wheat productivity and production would have gone down drastically. But in last 2, 3, 4 years, I would say, India is harvesting record amount of wheat. And one of the reasons, most important one, is around 65 to 70% areas are now planted with which we call as climate resilient wheat varieties. So those varieties are resilient and withstanding with the high temperature which we observe during the month of February end, March and April, when the ripening stage of wheat comes. So this is one example where we can really see that some kind of resilience is coming. But then climate change is not going to have this small effect. It may have a very big effects, dramatic effects. So we really have to work, and we are working on all of those areas. Let me tell you one decision which we have taken for 2-3 years back, that now whatever variety we will be releasing from ICAR system, each and every variety must have at least one component of climate resilience in it. Whether it is withstanding for high temperature or salinity or drought or flood or something. And now around 85% of our varieties, whatever we release every year, and you know that ICAR along with universities, we release around 350 varieties of different crops every year. So around 85% of the varieties are climate resilient. Now when I say climate resilient, it is not resilient for all the anomalies of climate, all the aberrations of climate, but at least a few of those. So this is one continuous effort which we are making in this particular direction. Madam, I think I addressed all these questions, or still I think one is left. Probably
Sir,
I
one
missed
more,
that.
Dr. Hariharan from M.S.SRF. In
Yes,
fact,
yes.
thank you very much for this wonderful lecture. From Foundation, I wish to submit to you, earlier we worked with the support of Ministry as well as FAO. We were able to establish 2 globally important agricultural heritage systems in the country. This is basically to conserve the ecosystem as a whole, and also conserve the seed system and the livelihoods and things like that. In this area, also today there is some gaps are existing, and with your support we wanted to play a very crucial role. This is more of a suggestion to you rather than a question. This is one area where, compared to China and others, we have several very good hotspots of agricultural heritage that requires our attention, and looking forward to work with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this good suggestion. We shall certainly consider it. Thank you.
So there's one more person here.
Thank you very much for your wonderful lecture, Dr. Pathak. So recently I was at a national summit on artificial intelligence, and all of the experts came to a conclusion that the agricultural sector is one sector that will benefit largely from AI. So my question is, how much do you think AI could affect the agricultural sector? And if you already have some examples of AI being used in the current scenarios, and also what do you think could be the downside to having AI penetrate so largely into the agricultural sector? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Actually, starting tomorrow, next 2 days we are going to have one conference only to address this particular issue. So in our NSC complex, New Delhi, we are going to have this conference on digital agriculture, where AI is going to be one of the major areas of discussion. We have already started working on it. I shall just give you one example. We have developed one tool. We have got one institute, ICAR, Indian Agricultural Statistics Research Institute in New Delhi, where we have developed an AI-based system by taking help of few lakhs of images of various diseases and insects. Now this particular tool will be able to identify the disease or the insect of more than 40 crops, and we will be able to give recommendation to the farmers of its solution. And if the solution is not available, the expert in that particular area also will be contacted. So we are now promoting this along with Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare in various programs and so. So this is just one example. We have also got one national program on utilizing some of these tools. Now, what is going to be the impact? There could be several positive things, and all of you know very well how AI can really play. There are also some kind of skepticism that whether it will be really beneficial, how long, what kinds of things. Those are, of course, we are working, and tomorrow and day after will be thoroughly discussing in all of those issues. And once that conference is over, I will be very, very happy to share one of our recommendations, which will be coming from those to the M.S.Swaminathan Foundation also, so that you can go through it and then you can give your recommendations. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I, on behalf of the foundation, the trustees and the staff of M.S.SRF, Dr. Pathak, thank you very much for this wonderful, it's a real tour de force you've covered from A to Z of agriculture, starting with the historical aspects, pre-independence, and then where we found ourselves at the time of independence, and then how actually the 4 Ps that you highlighted, you know, along with science, you need the political will, the policy, partnerships with progressive farmers, and of course, the transforming power of science and research, how it has brought us to where we are today, and also you pointed out the immediate challenges that face Indian agriculture, but also laid out a roadmap with solutions. And I think it's a wonderful, really a lecture that even people who are totally not from the agriculture field can really appreciate and understand what is needed. And it's also very inspiring because you have provided so many areas where young researchers, young scientists can apply their minds, and they can see a lot of fulfillment in the coming years, you know, if they are able to change things on the ground. So I wish to thank you for delivering this 3rd centenary lecture. And of course, you know, each of the lectures has been fantastic so far, and you have raised the bar even higher, I think, for future speakers. So we look forward to continuing to work with ICAR, of course, the connecting between science and society and community. And you could see from the engagement of the audience and so many questions that were raised that people were really got very, very stimulated by your talk. So thank you for taking out time during your busy schedule, Dr. Pathak, and we know you're a friend of M.S.SRF. We look forward to welcoming you now and also in the future. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you very much for this great honor given to me. Thank you very much.
So I think with this we conclude the session. Thank you for highlighting all the challenges that Indian agriculture faces and the complexities of it. So I think there were many more questions also here in the audience and online. Maybe you could share it with M.S.SRF and we will forward them to Dr. Pathak. So thank you very much everyone, both in M.S.SRF being present here as well as those people online. And we hope to see you, at least some of you, for the next lecture, which will be organized in the month of January. Thank you very much. So we are logging off now.